Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla stock, let's go over the market, let's talk about essentially what is happening, what we can expect moving forward, and all of that good stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, as per usual, if you enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice and I am not a financial advisor. And of course, if you do enjoy my technical analysis, thoughts on the charts, etc., well, I do share my thoughts with my members every single day the market is open and trading, as is trading throughout the day. Just $3 a month. The link is down below in the description of the video, where I again share all my thoughts, post updates to that YouTube membership section. So, check it out if you would like to join. Or for $5 a month, you get access to everything in the first tier, which is of course mainly Tesla stocks, sometimes bonus stocks as well. Or the second tier for $5 instead, though, per month, you get access to that plus NVIDIA daily updates. But anyways, jumping into it, Tesla closing the day down actually at 3%. Bit of a wild day today. I mean, we ended up pretty much closing near the bottom of the day, but we did get that bounce that Tesla actually did go green about 0.5% or so for a little bit. And this is what I was telling my members. I was saying how I wanted to close green. Unfortunately, couldn't close green, and we pretty much sold off right back to the lows of the day. But there's an actual reason behind this. At least it seems like there's a reason behind this. There's some fear around Elon, potentially having to sell Tesla stock. We're back to that rhetoric again. I guess you can say that we if you've been around and trading Tesla for a while, that rhetoric existed. I think it was here. Yeah, it was like this whole situation right here. Right? I'm pretty sure it was like this whole area right here. When Elon was selling shares to buy Twitter, right? And there's starting to be, it's not even a rumor. I mean, Elon is interested, it seems like, in buying. I think it was here. Elon Musk-led group makes pretty much $100 billion bid for control of OpenAI, and this apparently does not seem to be false because Elon. Well, Sam actually replied, just a general post on Twitter or X, whatever. No, thank you, but we will buy Twitter for pretty much $10 billion if you want, which I believe is supposedly Twitter or X's current valuation, which Elon replied to swindler. So there's clearly some beef here. There's clearly, if you follow Elon at all, they don't like each other anymore at all. But it seems like this, news, if you will, is not false. It seems like Elon actually does have an interest to buy out the control of OpenAI for one reason or the other for almost $100 billion. That's double Twitter's purchase. So the concern here is, if Elon has already been selling or starts selling or whatever the case may be, well, we know what happened last time. The stock has pretty much cratered for the next few months. Now, obviously, we don't know for sure he's going to be selling shares. Maybe there'll be no need to sell shares based on Sam Altman's response. I mean, but unfortunately, this becomes a bit of a hangover on the stock once again. And, it's kind of a question mark now, right? It's kind of a question mark because the issue with that is the fact that Tesla is in bottom picking territory. Like, if there's a place for Tesla, and I actually did buy in the morning, and I ended up selling as the market closed based on that news for pretty much break even, actually. Pretty much break even, because that's just a little bit of uncertainty here. Now I kind of want to see where the cookie crumbles a little bit before I jump back in. But the issue is the fact that it is in bottom picking territory. So for instance, if I look at it based on these bands right here, these regression bands, we are at the second tier band, right? That's usually a pretty good time. Whenever a stock, like a major stock especially, gets to the second tier band, that's more often than not, not necessarily a straight up buying opportunity, but more often than not, it's an area to start looking. Like you start shopping. Like you're starting to look and get interested, right? And you're looking for an entry, if not maybe just blindly buying it, whatever, right? And on top of that, we are of course in pretty important levels, right? We are in that, for instance, if I go back to the weekly chart, we have officially finally reverted back to the mean. Remember, I kept talking about this for probably 3 weeks now. We're officially there, right? This is what I've been talking about for quite some time. We have officially reverted back to the mean. This is technically bounce territory. The question is just, again, the only issue is this new news that popped up around Elon potentially, having to buy or wanting to buy, OpenAI, $100 billion, and does he have to sell shares now or what's going on here, right? That unfortunately makes this a little bit more complicated now. Normally, if this wasn't, an issue and there wasn't this drama, if you will, yeah, we're absolutely in bottom picking territory. Like if you ignore all news and all potential FUD, yeah, this is, we're in a pretty decent bounce territory, right? We reverted back to the mean. Usually when you get to these kind of reversions, massive bullish breakout, reversion back like this, right into the mean like this, which we're pretty much exactly at, maybe a little bit lower, into the 940s slightly, but we're around the area. Like we're pretty much there. this is a prime bounce spot. And, at the very least, a bounce back up to like the, 370s, we'll say, maybe even closer to 390. Like, this is an area to bounce from. It's just, will this news allow Tesla stock to bounce? I mean, it unfortunately becomes a little more difficult now, which is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. But yeah, again, like I said, second tier bands, nice category or nice level to potentially look for, bounce targets essentially from there. Bollinger Band, we're well below the Bollinger Band as well. RSI is extremely oversold. Like, again, yeah, this is the territory to look for bounces, right? So let's see. I mean, I want to see how it opens up. I want to see if there's any more development about this overnight and not, or not, maybe there's nothing else. Maybe it ends up being nothing. That's the ideal scenario. It ends up just being nothing. Everything is canceled. We're good to go. Hey, let's move forward, right? That's the ideal scenario. So let's hope that something like that does play out, because again, despite this technically speaking being a falling knife, like I said, it is pretty much in bounce territory right here, right now, right around this general level. I think worst case scenario is it drops closer to like 330s, like short term. Like this would be like, within the next day or two. That's like the worst case scenario is like 330 roughly, right? Which would be another drop of about 5%. But like, I just don't see it dropping much more than that, at least short term, right? That would be too much too fast. Even for Tesla stock, right? Obviously it can, go down pretty much as fast as it goes up, kind of like what it did here. It pretty much only just went up, right? That is technically a possibility. But if you're someone that likes to pick bottoms, again, not financial advice, just my opinion, I do think we're around that territory. I do think we are very much around that territory, even better in the 940s. Now, if you're someone that's a little bit more on the safer end, well, what you want to be looking for are these two bands right here to essentially flip red or green, right? From red to green, right? You have the EMA band, which is the 9/21 EMA. And then, of course, you have essentially the market bias, which is that kind of, mean reversion line, if you will, which is red as well. They're both red. So it is technically, weakness. There is technically short-term, bearishness. And, you are technically speaking catching a falling knife, right? So again, if you're someone that's extra safe, then what you want to be doing for, you just want to wait. You want to be patient. You want to just let it do its thing. Who knows where it'll bottom out? In theory, it should be somewhere around here, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe something else happens with, the Elon drama, if you will. Maybe it goes even lower, and then you avoided that whole drop, right? So the way you want to look at it really moving forward, if you're someone that's, safer about it and you want better confirmation and you don't want to just catch knives, is essentially, let these bad boys turn green, right? At the very least one of them, right? At the very least one of them, you let one of them turn green, and then ideally both of them, which at this point will take some time. It'll probably take, the better part of February, and would probably constitute a breakout of at least about $390 per share, which that to me, if that were to happen, most likely will turn both of these back to green. And then from there, we most likely will continue that breakout and head up even higher. So it really just depends on your strategy. Are you a bottom picker? Are you someone that like tries to snipe the bottoms, or do you just patiently wait for better setups? Really just depends on your personal, risk tolerance, I guess you can say. But yeah, that's kind of what I got for you right here, ladies and gentlemen. So, pretty simple stuff, not really too complicated overall, in my opinion. Let's take a quick look at options flow. Let's take a look if anything's happening on cheddar flow here. For the most part, options surprisingly not as intense as I would expect on a day like this, but it is what it is. We have CPI Wednesday, PPI Thursday. Let's not forget that. 1.9 million on Tesla came in for the puts over here back when it was at 360. So pretty much near the top of the bounce, actually. That was a pretty decent entry in this person for March 21st. 400 strike, so in the money, but nonetheless, pretty decent entry actually. That was near the top of the day. But yeah, overall, nothing really. I mean, 2.2 million here, but also March 21st, 365. I'm not sure why this one's. Oh yeah, that's above the ask. That's why this one is not above the ask. But yeah, 2.2 million, 365 call also for March 21st came in towards the end of the day, sitting at 357. So clearly they're down on this so far. So let's see how that plays out. But yeah, nothing really like truly stands out for bulls or bears in my opinion. And in terms of confirmed bearish or bullish flow, Tesla is 20 million confirmed bearish flow. So yeah, I mean, let's just see, right? Again, I do strongly believe that Tesla, assuming this noise doesn't get noisier, it is, closer to a bottom than not, right? We're starting to get to a territory where I do expect the bounce to start forming soon. Like, I don't know how soon. It could be tomorrow. Could be the day after. Maybe it'll take a week. Like, you don't know for sure, right? But, this range right here is an area where, I'd be pretty surprised if we don't find some level of bounce, at least back up to, mid to high 370s, maybe even touch 380, something like that, right? That's kind of my current expectation. And then from there, we'll see, right? From there, we can absolutely still reject and actually make our way even lower. That is a very real possibility. So let's see how this actually plays out. But again, we are getting pretty oversold. The stock is, it's getting close to needing to bounce at this point for at least like a small mean reversion. Yeah, let's just see. I mean, again, this is unfortunately not something that I'm willing to rush into too much after this kind of news broke out. I am playing a little bit on the safer end here. I might just sell cash or get puts instead of actually entering shares. Honestly, it's a little bit safer, but we'll see. But anyways, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Peace.